Good vocal technique and authentic human connection can only do so much when you're singing. And so I'm going to tell you my biggest secret when it comes to creating lifelong impact every single time you sing. I call it the God factor. Out of all of the 8 billion people in the world, God is listening to what you have to sing. It gives you a higher level of living and a higher level of meaning. So today on the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, you're going to learn how to work less in convincing your audience that you're authentic, why it's not just enough for you to sing well, and also how to alleviate the pressure of trying to impress everyone that hears you sing. So lean in and let's start this life-changing conversation. Hey singers, unforgettable vocalists, you out there that want to sing. This is the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, and I am O'Neal Gerald. And today on the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, I wanted to actually change up the conversation a little bit and give you guys a side of me that I don't usually show online. But I am going to be giving what I feel is my biggest secret when it comes to impactful singing. And it's something that's really close to my heart. So if you're down for the ride, let's talk about the God factor, as I call it. So something has been happening to me when I've been singing lately. And it's very interesting. There's just been a lot of angst that has been locked up in my soul. I'm learning to be someone that lets go of emotions and allows emotions to pass through. But I know for myself, I can lean more towards holding on to my emotions. And I think a lot of creative people are like that, where it's like, sometimes we are so used to using our emotions as ammunition to create, and so we try to hold on, process, and not even necessarily process, but feel the emotion. In the last few weeks of just, you know, these intense emotions that I've been feeling, I've seen the need for me to pray. And by prayer, I just mean talking to God about my emotions, talking to Jesus about my emotions. For some reason, I didn't want to bring these emotions to the Lord. I decided to be very unconventional with the way that I address these emotions, and I decided to sing about them. Now, I am used to singing my emotions, especially in years past, but over the last little while, it hasn't been something that I've been doing like on a consistent basis. Some people may call it worship, but for me, I needed to just talk these emotions, and I saw the opportunity to use my singing to communicate with God. Now, when I sing, I direct my singing to God, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the God factor. But to offload these emotions that I've been feeling lately was a little bit of a challenge, and I found myself starting to sing out these emotions. There were emotions of frustration because I felt like things were taking long. There were moments of distress and mourning because of people that have gone out of my life. There are so many emotions that I decided to start singing, and the beautiful, almost weird thing that's been happening has been that with all of the singing that I've now started to do, I found that God was answering what I was saying very specifically. It's like he was using the words that I sang right back to me. Like, I remember one of the first songs that I had written in this season. I remember I went to an event probably like a few days afterwards, and the person that was speaking at the event used the words that I sang, like almost word for word, and it really shocked me. I was like, oh, is this really happening right now? And the thing is, I shouldn't be surprised at this, because like I've used the God factor for most of my life, but to know that God was actually listening to me when I sang, it moved me. And then it happened again, and it happened again. It was almost scary, because it not only reminded me that God very much listens to me when I pray, but it reminded me that God listens to me when I sing. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the God factor. The God factor in singing is very, very deep conviction and knowledge that God, the one that created everything, is listening to your little voice when you decide to sing. And the reason why I say little is because there are like, what, 8 billion humans that are on the planet right now. And that's 8 billion voices. That is a lot of noise if you were to put that all in one room. Out of all of the 8 billion people in the world, God is listening to what you have to sing. He's listening to the heart that you have when you sing it. He's listening to every movement of your being that happens when you're singing, whether it has words, whether it doesn't have words. And I wanted to bring this factor to the Reclaim Your Voice conversation, simply because I know that it is a big factor when it is a game changer when it comes to like actually singing with the awareness that God is listening to your singing, because that awareness is something that can change the color of a room very, very, very easily. When someone is singing to Jesus and they are aware that he is listening, just the power that is in that conversation is like there's nothing like it. And that's essentially my first point, is that God is listening when you sing. If you clue into that attention that he's giving to your singing and make your singing a conversation with God, the experience becomes something far more than just music. Every single person that comes to me and says that they want to, they want to sing on big stages, or they want to sing and, move their smaller stages or the people around them. All of these people are looking to make memorable moments that exceed the music. I think that music is just a medium, and the voice is actually a vehicle for something that is far deeper and far greater than just a song. I think that the God factor actually will bring that level of meaning that transcends music to a lot of what you guys are looking for. Like for me personally, when I am singing about God, or when I am singing something through the lens of the knowledge that God is listening to me, and I honor him with that melody or with that lyric that comes out of me, it's like the room changes color. Like I said before, singing that has the God factor opens up itself to have impact that is deeper than impression. Now we're getting far deeper than music here. It's far deeper than impression or being impressed or someone being impressed by you. And it's even deeper than human connection. Now, why is it that it goes deeper than human connection and just being impressing people? Because God knows exactly what you need and what your listener needs. When you walk into a room and you don't know, you've never known the people, and so you go and you sing your songs, hoping that you'll reach somebody. And sometimes when we sing, without a knowledge of who's listening, we can kind of just shoot out into the universe and hope that someone hears us, or shoot out into the room, shoot out into the audience and hope somebody hears us, right? When you sing knowing that God is listening to you, you are interacting with the one that knows exactly what your room needs, and it knows exactly what you need. So God not only knows exactly what you need and exactly what your listeners need, but he is very eager to fill the need that is in the room, right? And connecting with God in your singing allows you to, it's almost like you're being backed up by your dad, who has so much more knowledge, so much more power and authority than you do, right? And what I love about the God factor is it gets us out of the way, because a lot of the time we make singing very much about our own power. There's a level of power that's there, but it's not ultimate in power. When you look at the greatness and the vastness of who God is versus the human, just like I was talking about, 8 billion people in this world, and I am one, you are one of 8 billion people. We are very small and insignificant in our abilities and in our power. And when we decide to sing with the knowledge that God is listening, right? It brings someone into the room who has jurisdiction and authority over every governing substance and being that ever was or ever will be. It makes our singing timeless. It makes our singing eternal, so to speak. The God factor means that you can finally rest when it comes to impacting your audience. I remember when I was trying to move the room on my own. Because I come from a worship leading church background, moving a room is something that was a little bit more important than just a performance. It's something that we were used to. We were used to people, being impacted and transformed. But I wanted to take all of that responsibility for myself. And it was exhausting getting on the keyboard and just trying to make the room feel something. Sometimes it worked, but then sometimes it didn't. I remember one time someone came up to me afterwards and they were like, yeah, that song I don't think that really was the right song. And I was crushed by it, but the reason why I was crushed by it was, first of all, I would the fear of man. And when I say the fear of man, I'm simply talking about having my own identity hinge on what someone else thinks of me, but also because I was super gung-ho on moving the room on my own. And when I decided to lean into the God factor, it meant that God was here to impact, and God was with me to do all of the talking for me, to do all of the heart talking, the emotional moving. He was able to do that for me. Now, that doesn't mean that I wasn't, diligent in sounding good and practicing and all that stuff, but it did mean that I could rest. And that's what I mean for the singer that leans into the God factor. They're able to sit back and watch their father do something amazing in a room. I can't tell you so many times where things have happened, when I was singing, and I could very much say, that wasn't me at all. Of course, you're in partnership with what God is doing, and you're co-creating with God. So it's not like you have nothing to do with it. And then when something doesn't go the way that you expected it, you also can let it go. You can be so much more hands-off with that situation. But anyway, fourth thing, this is really important. Come a little closer, as Cheryl Lee Ralph would say. The God factor means that you don't have to try to convince people that you are enough, because the relationship is what makes you enough. And I'm going to read a passage from the Bible, and it comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 9, verses 23 to 24 in the New Living Translation. It says, "Don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the powerful boast in their power." This is exactly what we were talking about. I didn't even realize that it was so close. Ooh, this is good. "Don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the powerful boast in their power, or the rich boast in their riches. But those who wish to boast," this is verse 24, "those who wish to boast should boast in this alone." This is exactly what I'm saying. And why don't I even add a singer in here? Don't let the singer boast in their voice, right? Or their ability to sing, or their runs, or their vocal range, right? And this is God speaking. He says, "They should boast that they truly know me and understand that I am the Lord, who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth, and that I delight in these things." Whew. This is a real word. This is a word. If you're listening to this far, I think that you know what it's like to try to prove that you are enough. Especially if you're a singer. I know what it's like to sing so that people can validate me, so that the voids in my life could be filled. But the God factor is not looking for its own validation. Like a singer that sings with the knowledge that God knows them and knows their voice and knows the needs of their audience. That person isn't looking to be validated. they're actually looking to serve. And the singer that serves is a far more powerful singer than a singer that is looking to be praised or looking to be validated. And this is, I think, also a big fork in the road between those that want to sing in order to just be famous and those that want to sing because they have a purpose to change the world and to change lives. If you're singing just to be famous, you may even get there, but it won't be it won't give you the validation that you're looking for. Like, this is the reason why a lot of the people that are the most famous for their singing are some of the most broken, and the most addicted to substances. And the validation that you're looking for is not going to come from the fact that you sang well. I'm telling you right here on the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, if you're looking for anything to boast in, it should be in the fact that you know God and that you understand that it's Him that demonstrates unfailing love to you. This is so much more than singing. Like, if you live your life knowing simply that God loves you and that Jesus died for you and died to give you a life that is free from everything wrong that you've ever done, like, that totally transcends your identity as a singer. It actually gives you a new identity, and it gives you an identity that is more than just your voice. If you lost your voice tomorrow and you can never sing a day in your life, your identity would still be intact, right? And I can tell you so much about what it was like for me to sing so that other people could validate me. But now, the only thing that validates me is the fact that I am known by God, that I know God, and that He loves me. And I told you, the God factor is a game changer, right? Because it actually makes you put your singing and everything that makes you on the table and on the altar for it to be given to God so that He can tell you who you are. Part of me thought that not even just my singing, but my music making was on the table and I was never going to get that back again. That's actually something God gave back to me. That's another story. But like when you can put everything that you are on the table and just allow God to, use what He wants and take out the stuff that's not the best, it gives you a higher level of living and a higher level of meaning. Now, the fifth thing, final thing for the God factor. If you choose to sing with the knowledge that God knows you and God hears you, and you sing every song with that, everything that you ever sing will be filled with purpose. And the fulfillment you get will no longer be from a certain vocal achievement, but from the relationship that you have with God. And that's what we're building here at the Reclaim Your Voice, here at Reclaim Your Voice and the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, right? We're looking for meaning that's far deeper, right? Now, like I said, the God factor isn't something that everybody chooses. However, it is something that is the secret to why people are impacted when I sing. And it's the secret to why, if there's any impact that's ever come from my life as a vocal coach, I can assure you it's from the God factor. There are a lot of prestigious, wonderful people in the world that do amazing and wonderful things. But it's not the fact that they do wonderful things that defines them. It is the God factor. Like I said, this is something that comes out of relationship. So if you want relationship with God and that's something that you're serious about, definitely send me an email at info@o'neillgerald.com. Let me know that you listened to this episode, or put in the subject God factor, and we can set up a conversation to kind of go deeper with this so that you can start your own relationship with God. And if this is something that impacted you, like, just even let me know in the comment, and let's even continue this conversation. This isn't necessarily how I talk all the time, because I know not necessarily everybody is, for the faith thing, but I know that this is something that if I didn't share it, I feel like I would be like holding out on you guys. If nobody ever heard me sing, or if I never taught somebody again, this thing, the God factor gives me fulfillment. And again, the God factor is about you knowing that God listens to you when you sing. It's knowing that God sees you when you cry. It's knowing that God hears you when you pray. Right? That awareness of that relationship is what we're talking about here. And it's the reason why I do it. And I know it's the reason why a lot of people are even impacted by the Reclaim Your Voice podcast. And if you were impacted by this episode, definitely 5-star where you listen to your podcast. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side of another episode of the Reclaim Your Voice podcast. Okay. Bye, everyone.